What's going on, guys? So real quick before we kick this video off, yes, first and foremost, I am still fighting a case of bronchitis. Hopefully I can get over that relatively quickly. It's been kicking my butt the last couple of days. But the first question I want to ask you is, think of a brand or manufacturer of RV that absolutely impresses you, blows you away, makes you feel as if every brand, if they built them like this brand, this whole RV industry fiasco, about poor quality and workmanship and reliability wouldn't even be a thing. So think of a brand. It may be Airstream, it may be Lux, it may be DRV, it might be Outdoor RVs, it may be a number of different brands. Just think of a brand that automatically resonates in terms of quality. You think about it, you think of super high quality units, maybe New Horizons, right? And I want you to hold that thought in your head. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so I am in a 2024 Forest River Surveyor. This is our collaboration unit. This unit is what I would consider to be kind of middle of the road in terms of overall fit, finish, quality, materials, craftsmanship, all of that stuff. Why do I say that? Why don't I say that this thing is either junk or the most amazing thing ever? It's because I'm being honest with you guys. I understand that in the price point that Surveyor falls, this is pretty much what you typically get. Now, the colors, the tones, maybe some of the cool features, some of the technology, some of the interesting things that they do with different versions of Surveyor, whether it's going to be a Grand Surveyor or the Surveyor Legend, may vary, and you might have a different opinion of those. But for me, what I like about this 2024 Forest River Surveyor is the fact that there's a good mix of things that I think people want, people really want, and some things that save cost at the same time. Like, for instance, we talk about countertops, right? This is a thermofoil countertop. It's basically like a press board underneath it, and it's wrapped with a material that's kind of impervious to water. That said, and you've seen in a previous video, that a buddy of mine who has a Jayco also has a thermofoil countertop, and you can suffer with problems. It can scratch, it can delaminate, you can have problems. So a cost-cutting measure that the folks at Surveyor do, of course, is to use a material that's less expensive, still pretty dang durable. It's going to withstand what a lot of people would probably subject it to, but it's certainly not quartz, marble, or granite, right? It's a very common material that you see on this price point of RV. Now, that said, there are some things that I really like. I like the light fixtures. I like the fact that they put a porcelain foot flush toilet. I like the fact that they put a cool little central vac system in. Some of these features are features that you might typically see on more expensive units. But that said, when I think about build quality, when I think about how this is constructed, I would say it's kind of middle of the road. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but I'm not saying that it's a standout in terms of being one of the best RVs you could buy, right? It's in my opinion a great value, but for the most part, it's built very similar to most other RVs, right? They might pick different color materials, they might pick different features, but again, it's very similar to other RVs. Now, what's the point of this video? The point of this video is for you to recall what I asked you at the very beginning. You were supposed to think of a brand that instantly makes you think of quality, that makes you think of long-term reliability, dependability, the way you envision it, the way you envision the RV industry should be. An example of that is, let's say you picked Romer 1, which is, the collaboration I did out in Salt Lake City over at RVs of America. I don't know if you guys watched that segment, but I featured a bunch of super off-road capable travel trailers. And Romer 1 was one that they collaborated with, and they built a phenomenal unit. Now, when you think of the best of the best of the best, what I want you to think of now is how much it costs to get that. Now, I'm not specifically saying that you need to go out and buy a living vehicle, right? Living vehicle travel trailers, which I featured on my channel in several videos, you're talking about a travel trailer between about, 24 and maybe 28 to 30 feet long, that is between $350,000 all the way up to over $800,000 for a travel trailer. When you were looking at the pinnacle, the best of the best conceivable built travel trailer you can buy, that would probably be a living vehicle. Now, I know that there's some really cool brands that are up and coming, brands that are made by former Tesla engineers and things like that, but I would still argue to say, as cool and as innovative as those are, the focus for most of those are aerodynamics as well as energy savings, basically the economy of it, how having one of those is going to be easy to tow. The technology inside of them are absolutely insane, but from a pure quality manufacturing perspective, it's hard to beat living vehicle. But I would also venture to say that over 99.999% of people looking to buy a travel trailer, A, could never afford a living vehicle, and B, probably wouldn't find it as the one that they must have. It's for a very small niche of folks. They sell every single one they make. They don't make a ton of them, but the quality, fit, and finish is absolutely off the chart. And I think most people would agree, even if they command a super high price. Now, the next part of this, again, is to think about the price point that the RV manufacturer you were thinking of probably plugs into, right? If it's outdoor RVs, if it's PAWs, I mean, regardless of the brand, you're probably thinking of a manufacturer that either builds super luxurious heavy fifth wheels or super expensive but very reliable travel trailers. Am I kind of in the right area there? It could be an Airstream, right? It could be a Lux, could be a DRV or Riverstone. It could be one of a number of different brands. But what I want to ask you now is to think about price. Not price point of the unit you're talking about or the one that I made you think about, but price point of what you get for what you pay. Now, if the perception is that the brands that you're thinking about right now, the brands that you might be putting down in the comment section, if they sell for a premium, which I'm pretty sure most of them do, so most of your super high-end luxurious fifth wheels, regardless of the brand, are probably going to command a price well over $150,000 to $300,000, somewhere in that range. Most of your smaller, incredibly well-built fifth wheels and travel trailers are going to command a price range between $60,000 for something super small, all the way up to about $200,000 for something that's a bit larger, something that might be, maybe in the 28 to 35 foot range. And they're going to be heavy. That's the universal thing here. They're going to be heavy, unless it's maybe Airstream, which is, again, focused around being a lightweight, but a very specifically built unit. Now, people are kind of on the fence on if they could really categorize Airstream as a super high quality unit, but I think for the most part, people see them as being relatively high quality units. But you talk to Airstream owners, they're going to tell you that they feel the quality, craftsmanship, and work and build of Airstreams has even come down a little bit in the last several years. All that said, the point of this video is to think about the fact that when you're standing inside of an RV like this, which is roughly 27.5 feet long, it has a slide out, it has bunks, it has a Murphy bed up front, it's got, full stove, full oven, it's got 12-volt refrigerator, it's got all the features that you would expect from an RV, that this RV sells for about 30 grand. Which is comfortably kind of in that realm that most RVs that are constructed in a similar fashion sell for. Most RVs that people go out to a dealership and buy that they complain about and they say have horrible quality and they say just aren't built well, typically have a starting price between about $18,000 and they go all the way up to about $38,000. That's a typical sale price. The MSRP might be 30 grand to 55 grand, but we're buying RVs that are typically, again, under $38,000 and then complaining when they're not built like RVs that are smaller, heavier, and have a sale price of $60,000. So the point of that poll was to understand if every RV, like this one, the way it's built, they have to feed a lot of dealerships, so they make a lot of these very quickly. Yeah, we all know that they pump them out very quickly. This one, to me, has pretty decent quality to it, honestly. I don't see anything that's glaringly bad, right? If I look at this RV and I compare it to an RV that has an $80,000 MSRP with the $60,000 sales price that's smaller than this, that weighs more, uses solid woods, is designed on a specialized chassis, or it has things that are just built a little bit more robust, things that won't break as easy whenever you tow it down the road. Do I justify the price difference? Or do I say this $30,000 RV that we're in competes very well, the quality is actually okay, even though it could always be better, but can I admit to myself that this manufacturer who builds this unit, which is Forest River Surveyor, and it's the Legend, which is the lower cost Surveyor, builds a RV that meets a price point, and the sacrifice there is the fact that it might not be built to the standards of an RV that costs twice as much but may be smaller. Because again, I can go buy an outdoor RV, I can go and buy even a Lance or some of these others. Their sale price is going to be twice what the sale price of this is. But it's not going to be any larger. It could actually be smaller. It could have less features. It might be built better, arguably, right? It may have more technology. It may have, more suspension features. It may have a lot of stuff added that I wish mine had, but yet I didn't pay $30,000 on top of the $30,000 that this is valued at. I didn't pay $60,000 for this. So we do complain a lot about the build quality of RVs, and I get it. When you buy something, no matter how much you spend on it, you want it to be amazing. I get that. I know the RV manufacturers can do a better job in terms of quality control. But the reasons why some manufacturers charge so much for relatively small RVs is because they can't build them as quickly, because when you put that extra time into it, it makes it more difficult to build. So part of this program that I kicked off, the RV Star program, was to get manufacturers like Surveyor, like several others, to take the initiative to say, you know what, can we do it? And if we did do it, what would it actually give us or gain us in terms of customer satisfaction, appreciation? But the challenge then puts you kind of in a position at competing against manufacturers that sell their RVs for $30,000 more for something smaller. That may not actually offer you any more space, features, or function, but because of how they build their RVs, you're going to be paying that much more for it. So the next question and final question for you is, if the folks over at Forest River Surveyor took this $30,000 RV, put $30,000 into it without changing the floor plan, but switching to solid woods, switching to better fasteners, switching to better materials overall, would you be willing to pay twice the price for the same size unit? Because right now you can go to a dealership lot, and the vast majority of travel trailers that you see out there will probably be priced between $18,000 to $38,000 from a sale price perspective. What are you willing to pay? And would you be willing to pay what is currently available through these RVs that you assume have ultra high-end reliability and quality? And do you realize that you can actually buy some of these super high-end, high-quality travel trailers that have all the features, all the things that you talk about and leave comments about saying, why don't they build them like this company? You can buy those. They exist. They're out there right now for twice the price. That's what you have to rationalize with. There's a reason why manufacturers who pump out RVs can do it the way they do it. Part of it is because they can't run an assembly line that's so slow and so specialized in making sure every RV is absolutely perfect that it raises the price up to match the manufacturers who are building super expensive travel trailers and fifth wheels. Does that make sense? I'm hoping it does. The point here isn't that they can't do better. The whole point of the program that I've started is to show that they can do better. That said, though, if doing significantly better all of a sudden takes a travel trailer that you can afford and makes it one that you can't afford, it's going to be really nice to look at it, but it's going to be really, really depressing to realize that you can't afford it anymore because they've put so much extra attention to it that you simply can't pay for it. It's just too expensive. Now, does that mean, and this is the part that's going to hopefully help people realize that I am on the consumer side here, does that mean that they can't do things better? No. They should assemble things correctly. They should do what they need to do to make sure stuff isn't simply falling apart when you receive it. They should make sure that frame welds, they should make sure that suspension components, the way the roof was done, they should make sure that all of that stuff is done properly. This is not a pass for them to think that, oh, JD just said, we can pump these things out so people can save money. No, the quality of assembly still needs to be there. The focus on constantly making it better still needs to be there. But also understanding that the manufacturers who, perceivably are doing it the way you think that all of them should be done, if that's how you feel, think about how much those manufacturers charge for their RVs versus the one you may be complaining about. That's the only point I'm trying to make. I am still pushing for this industry to improve their quality. And I'm standing in a unit that I really think does a pretty dang good job of producing a quality RV. But that said, Do I really think that this is going to be up to the standards of, you know, an RV that costs twice as much in the same size? Probably not. You know, there is always room for improvement. And that is also the same reason why I said manufacturers who want to opt into RV Star can't just say, well, look at all the stuff we're already doing. Doesn't this qualify us? No, that's not how it works. We may have some way of helping manufacturers that are already stepping up and doing amazing things get qualified a little easier, but we have to figure out what that process is. That said, the whole point of this video is just to help you understand that if you're paying $30,000 more than someone else who's paying $30,000 for their RV, basically you're paying $60,000, they're paying $30,000, there's probably something you're paying for that they're not, if you're talking about a comparable sized unit. Anyways, guys, please leave a comment below. I would love to know your thoughts. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.